Susan Mann was only 15 when she vanished in May 1980 from Queens, New York. For 2 long years, no one knew what had happened. Then, in 1982, workers found human remains inside a dumpster in Freeport. At that time, technology could not tell who the girl was. She was listed only as Jane Doe. 4 decades later, science finally caught up. With the help of new DNA testing, police confirmed that the body was Susan Mann. Her case is now treated as murder, and officials have offered a reward for anyone who can help find whoever is responsible. Her name, silent for years, returned to life. Susan Mann, a teenager who never made it home. It's a story that once existed only as whispers and faded reports. Now, after so long, her voice is finally being heard again. Picture the neighborhood, brick houses, small stores, and sidewalks where everyone knows each other. Susan was a typical girl who tried to fix a small problem: her sister's stolen purse. She borrowed a bicycle and left home to search for it. That's what caring families do. But she never came back. Posters went up, questions spread, but answers never came. Decades later, the mystery still lingered like an old wound no one could close. In early 2025, investigators from Nassau County made an announcement that sounded unbelievable yet simple. Using modern DNA genealogy, they proved that the body found in a Freeport dumpster in 1982 belonged to Susan Mann from Hollis, Queens. The spot behind Cantor Glass Works, where her remains were discovered, was not the place she first died. Police now think she was buried somewhere else and later moved. Someone had gone through the trouble of hiding her twice. Why would anyone do that? What had changed that made them move her? Fear, guilt, or panic? No one knows yet. To understand her story, start with the places. Hollis, Queens is a quiet residential area. Rows of family homes, bikes in driveways, kids on sidewalks. Freeport, by contrast, lies 20 miles away on Long Island's South Shore, a working town full of docks, shops, and warehouses. The path between them isn't direct, and in the original investigation, that distance was the biggest problem. 2 scenes, years apart, with no clear link. Now we know that link was Susan. In May 1980, she left home on a bike to search for her sister's missing bag. A normal errand, a simple act of love, but it became the last thing she ever did. You can almost hear her family's final words: "Be careful, I will." Then time froze. Hours turned to days, days to weeks, and still no trace of her. In 1980, missing person investigations moved slowly. There was no internet, no social media, no security cameras on every corner. Detectives relied on phone calls, interviews, and handwritten notes. Every clue meant paperwork. Every report took days. When cases crossed police districts, communication often failed. If dental or school records were incomplete, identification stalled. Sometimes families moved, or witnesses forgot details. 2 years after Susan's disappearance on November 4th, 1982, workers at a glass company in Freeport made a discovery that would haunt them forever. Inside a large commercial dumpster, they found the remains of a young woman. Police arrived quickly, but without technology, the mystery stayed sealed. She became a nameless entry in official records, just another unidentified female. Detectives tried everything. They recorded her clothes, jewelry, and other small evidence. A necklace shaped like a heart, or maybe a letter, was still there. That single detail puzzled everyone. If she'd been attacked randomly, why was her body moved? The questions piled up faster than the answers. For many years, that's where the story ended. A girl buried without a name, investigators keeping her memory alive but unable to solve the puzzle. In 2023, scientists carefully exhumed her remains. Their goal wasn't to disturb the past, it was to let the present speak. Modern DNA testing could now extract markers older methods had missed. From there, detectives turned to a powerful approach that's been solving old crimes across America. Investigative genetic genealogy. Here's how it works. Traditional criminal DNA databases contain only profiles of arrested or convicted people. If a killer never entered that system, the match fails. Genetic genealogy looks for something else. Relatives, second cousins, distant family members, anyone whose consumer DNA data from services like Ancestry or 23andMe is legally accessible. Investigators then build family trees from public records, birth certificates, and obituaries. Slowly, the branches narrow until one person fits every clue: age, gender, time, and location. Then through testing or court orders, confirmation follows. And that's what happened here. The DNA trail led to a girl who went missing from Queens in 1980. Tests proved it. The Jane Doe in the Freeport dumpster was Susan Mann. By 2025, detectives stood before reporters saying her name for the first time in 45 years. They showed what she might have been wearing, mentioned her missing bicycle, and revealed something shocking. She hadn't been killed and dumped immediately. She'd been buried first, then moved to that dumpster later. That detail changed everything. Why would someone dig up a body? Maybe they feared discovery. Perhaps construction was about to uncover the grave. When heavy machinery starts digging near hidden evidence, panic makes people do desperate things. It's not movie drama. It's real fear of being exposed. Police didn't make it a spectacle. They asked the public for help. Do you remember Freeport or the South Shore around 1981 or 1982? Sometimes solving a mystery depends not on fancy lab work, but on a neighbor remembering a small, forgotten moment. That's the real strength of this update. It gives people specific reasons to think again. Which photo albums to check, which rumor to revisit, which story from long ago might actually hold the truth. Think about what happens when a name is returned to someone lost. Jane Doe is a label, not a person. But Susan Mann, that's a daughter, a sister, a classmate, a neighbor. Saying her name turns silence into memory, and memory into justice. She left home to do something kind, something small, something any of us might do. And now, after 45 years, her story isn't buried anymore. Police continue searching, and her family, wherever they are, finally have one thing that time couldn't steal. Susan Mann was more than a missing girl. She was part of a family's table, a face in school photographs, a date in a calendar that no one erased. For decades, she existed as a question mark, a placeholder in memory. Identification doesn't solve everything, but it allows dignity to stand. It gives a grave meaning and investigators permission to ask sharper questions. Who was near? Who had access? Who acted when? And who moved what shouldn't have been touched? You may wonder why science couldn't help earlier. In the 1980s, forensic tools were limited. DNA testing, genealogy triangulation, and advanced fingerprinting didn't exist. Dental records were only useful if available. A teen disappearing in one borough and found in another drifted through bureaucracies with little connection. Some cases were theoretically solvable, but practically impossible until technology advanced and someone chose to revisit old files. Authorities believe Susan was buried shortly after vanishing, and later moved to a dumpster where she appeared in 1982. This theory rests on unseen observations, condition of remains, surrounding clues. Items present or missing. Relocation implies planning. Someone watched the location, acted when risks rose, and left patterns behind. Vehicles at odd times, unexpected lights, unusual deliveries, neighbors masking sounds. Observers might have noticed changes without realizing their importance. Motives remain unclear. Jewelry found with her suggests theft wasn't primary. Many homicides involve control, concealment, or opportunity rather than robbery. Some offenders use transportation routes or workplaces to hide movement. Detectives study these patterns, looking for connections in old phone numbers, locations, and timelines. Names, places, and dates matter. May 1980 in Hollis, November 1982 in Freeport, October 2025 in a press room where words carefully chosen carried far. Identification closes one door but opens others. Who harmed her? Where did the first scene occur? Who moved her and why? Questions sharpened now invite answers from people who never knew their memories mattered. Genetic genealogy is not magic. It's a method. With consent, careful labs, statistical checks, and patient genealogists, scattered information becomes a family map and a name. When it succeeds, funerals gain closure. When it fails, it quietly ends with a note. Continue search. Publicizing identifications ensures resources, lab partnerships, and trust for other families still waiting. Cold case detectives show quiet heroism. We never gave up means schedules, revisiting shelves, calling labs, writing families, exhuming remains carefully, and waiting for federal clearance. When confirmation arrives, they speak with precision. Now Susan Mann is no longer anonymous. She left home on a bicycle in 1980 and never returned. Found behind a glassworks dumpster in 1982, her identity restored after 42 years. One life, one name, one case still open. If you remember that time, job sites, trucks, routines, photographs, unusual equipment, quiet stories, or a stray bicycle, share your memory with detectives. Susan Mann is no longer just a face in a photo. After 42 years, her name is back. One girl, one life, one story finally told help keep names alive. Subscribe, comment, and share this video so more families can see justice